What's going on, guys? It's Screecher and welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be doing a basic guide to cube format. This is going to be a format that I absolutely love making and I absolutely love playing, and today we're going to be going ahead and showing you how I make my cubes, how they're usually pretty balanced from the get-go, and of course how you can then balance them and design your own cubes yourself. So the first thing you need to do is learn what the hell cube format is. Cube format is a draft format of a specific number of cards that you then shuffle up, divvy out into equal piles, and then go around and draft between your group of friends, and then from there you are fine to make the decks, play the games as normal. There's some cool things you can do. You can either include banned cards, not banned cards. You can mash multiple formats together. You can do some cool things like what if Goat had XYZ cards. You can do some cool things of like what if modern day Tier had Confiscation and Pot of Greed at 3. You can do anything. Whatever cards you put in the cube is of course what you have and what you choose. Now of course there's a lot of balancing and stuff you need to do. There's even a thing called Chaos Cube or Archetype Cube where you remove the archetype from certain cards. So something like Elemental Hero Stratos that adds a hero now just becomes add a card. That we're not talking about. That gets pretty mental from the get-go. It's funny to play, even funnier to watch somebody resolve, like, engage and search Raigeki and draw a card. It's quite funny to watch, but it sends your whole concept of Yu-Gi-Oh! Into the absolute bin, and designing a fair version of that cube is borderline impossible. What we're going to be doing is showing you how I approach my cubes. I have multiple cubes made. Cool thing about them, they fit really nicely in mega tins. Especially the newer ones, like the gold sarcophagus ones, they fit really nicely in there. I have multiple cubes in them. I have an Edison cube, I have a Goat cube, I've started making a Hat cube, and today we're going to be making another cube live. And then from here, you know, you can just go out and buy the cards. You've probably got the majority of these in your bulk, especially if you choose older format stuff like Edison and Goat. You've probably got enough to make a cube from the get-go. The format can be as cheap or as expensive as you want. Today, we are going to be going ahead and making a toss format cube. And this is how I go ahead and approach it. So the first thing I do is decide what format I'm going to make a cube around. If you even necessarily want to make a format specific cube, I'm going to be making a toss format cube today, which is 2018, is it, I believe? Or 2019? 2019 was toss format. And the second thing you need to decide is, are you doing singleton or multiple? I'm going to be showing you multiple. I always prefer multiple. If you're doing singleton, it's much better to do singleton for a 2-player cube. The next thing you need to decide is how many players you're going to be doing it for. I'm going to be doing a 4-player cube today, which means you're going to need minimum of 160 cards. That would be 4 people getting 40-card decks. I like to give a little bit of wiggle room because there's a lot of really weird and niche stuff. Especially when you start handing out the piles, you might be trying to make a deck and then get left with archetype cards that you not specifically want. So I'm going to go for 50 cards each. That's going to be 200 cards in. That's going to equal 50 cards per person. And then that is going to decide... How the hell have I spelled player? There you go. So that is then going to be the start. So you now have a format, you now have the number of players, you now have the number of cards, and you're going to have the number of cards per person. You then need to decide the drafting round. Very simple. This is going to be 20 piles of 10. That means that when you shuffle them up, you're going to give them into piles of 10. You're going to have 20 piles. All 4 players are going to pick up a pile, pick a card, pass it to the next person. You're going to go round in a circle till you've run out of piles and you all have 50 cards. Hopefully that makes sense. That is essentially the whole of cube format. Then you need to decide extra deck. Are you doing a extra deck? Are you doing a drafted extra deck? Or are you doing a universal extra deck? I'm going to be showing you universal extra deck today. A universal extra deck is essentially a big pile of extra deck cards you just slap in the middle and everybody has access to them. It means there's no limit for the extra deck. Doing a format like Toss would definitely benefit more from a universal extra deck because it means that certain decks that require certain archetyped cards don't have to also draft the extra deck cards as well. It's really good having a universal extra deck, especially for older formats as well. My Edison format actually includes every single synchro that is legal in Edison. I own one of every single one. Shout out to Trident Dragon. Bought it for £6. Now it's worth like 100. So money, money, money. So there's also money to be made making cube formats as well. Probably a bit of a niche version of it, but yeah. Universal Extract, big pile in the middle. I like that. And from there, you're kind of good to start it. So, like I said, we're going to be doing ours on TOS format. So, how I approach my cube, you start with the decks and the deck cores, and you need to limit them down to where they're still playable, but you're not just going to draft the full deck. So, for instance, we're going to start off with Thunder Dragon. One of the decks, of course, included in our TOS cube app. So, we're going to include, let's say, one of every Thunder Dragon, and then maybe multiple Thunder Dragons, just to get you going a little bit better. I think that is around about fair. Then we'll go ahead and include something like Orcus cards. We'll include a Babel, we'll include a Return, we'll include a Crescendo. Maybe we'll include multiple Harp Horrors, and then maybe a Symbol, a Nightmare, and a Brass. That's pretty good as well. Then we will move on to the Salamon Great cards. We'll include a couple of the niche ones as well. So let's go ahead and include your Rage, your Roar, your Sanctuary. Let's give them multiple ways to search. Let's give them at least 2 circles. Let's give them a Jack Jaguar, a Fowl, a Falco, and then you're on to the big one. So we'll give them like a Gazelle, a Foxy. Let's give them 2 Foxies. And then let's give them 2 Spinnies, if I can find where Spinny's gone. Spinny, 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 Spinny. It's definitely right in front of me. Let's have a little look. If I can find Spinny. There we go, Spinnies. So now we include that. Now, we're going to get onto Striker and where Striker fits into a cube like this. So we're going to compare this to some other things. We'll start off with 1 Hornet Drones, 1 Jamming Waves, and then 1 Multi-Roll, and maybe 2 Ray. Now, the rest of the Striker cards are really good generic cards. This is similar to, say, Edison format. You're going to maybe include a few hero cards, a few Blackwing cards, a few Light Swarm cards. But then you got something like Deep Sea Diva that, you know, you've got Diva Heroes, Diva Zombies, Diva Machina. So something like Deep Sea Diva is probably at 3. And that's why in a cube like this, I would probably include 3 copies of Engage. And I would probably include multiple Widow Anchors. And I probably would include multiple Afterburners. Because these are generic cards that you can add to any deck and run as a sub-mittal engine. As well as something like Dangers. Dangers, again, really strong. Danger Orcus, Danger Striker, Danger Thunder Dragon, all very good cards. So I would probably include multiple of these. Danger Manju as well. So I would probably go double Bigfoot, double Thunderbird, and then maybe like 1 Snet, 1 Jackalope, 1 Nessie, 1 Mothman. A nice pile of cards for the Danger Engine. We mentioned Gren Maju, so why not include 2 copies of Gren Maju? Gizmek Orochi was used in a few different decks, so let's include a couple of Gizmeks. Eater of Millions was used in this deck, so let's include a couple of Eater of Millions, and then let's go ahead and throw in a Necro Valley as well. Sorry, not Necro Valley, Necro Face. Then let's think back to decks. We've now talked slightly on like engines, but let's think back to decks. What else was used in TOS format? You know, people say it was a four deck format, but there was some other cool stuff. Let's go ahead and include a couple of memories, and then like 1 of every Met Knight. The Met Knights are really strong in a format like this, especially for cube, because again you can splash them into every deck. If you're talking about its friends, you may as well include Alistair, because it is Alistair and friends. So let's go ahead and throw in 2 Alistairs, 2 Magical Meltdowns, 2 Invocations, and call it a day. So, where are we at now? We're at 71 cards. We've still got 129 cards to go. But we've already included multiple decks. We've already briefly touched on, if a card is really good generically, it should be at more than if a card is specifically good for a deck. Something like Thunder Dragon is quite generic. It gives you a lot of hand advantage. So now we've talked about deck building, we've talked about some generics. Let's continue to really add some cards to this. Now, you've got to take into consideration here, a card at 3 means that realistically, each player should get 1, and 1 player won't get any, in theory. So, including some of these really strong cards at 3 doesn't necessarily break the format. The chances of somebody getting all 3 engages and making full power striker here is really, really slim. But having all the options definitely makes the whole drafting and the whole format as a whole really more enjoyable. With that being said, let's go ahead and then just throw in at least 3 copies of every hand trap that was relevant in this format. So that's going to be Imperm, that's going to be Veiler, that's going to be Ash, that's going to be Droll, that's going to be Phantasme, and then for some of the lesser known ones, the little niche ones, like, is it Lancia? We'll probably go ahead and throw some of the lesser used ones at 2, just to bulk out the cube a little bit, but it's always fun to include cards like No Material as well, so that's going to be 2 No Material, 2 Lancia, and then 3 of all the big boys. Ghost Ogre as well, that was a pretty prevalent card in the format. Let's go ahead and throw in 3 Ghost Ogres. Then let's go ahead and throw some more decks in, because we only really have like 4 or 5 decks here, so what else was pretty good? Let's go ahead and throw in one of my favorite decks. Let's throw in a control deck in Subterra. So let's throw in double Hidden City, double Guru, Nemesis, Umastrix, Fiendus, Final Battle, and then I'm going to include multiple Cave Clash here, just because you want to be able to recur this entire engine. So that's going to be that. Let's throw in, if we're throwing in 1 control deck, we'll throw in another. Let's throw in 1 Meliaseat, 1 Sick, 2 Multi-Faker, 1 Marionetta, and then 1 Manifestation, 1 of this, and then you want Personal Spoofing, and then let's throw in Personal Spoofing. This is the Shuffler, right? Yeah, so we'll throw in Personal Spoofings as well. So that's like another little engine going on there. So you can now play Altergeist, you can now play Subterra, Hand Traps, Mech, Invoked, Striker, Thunder, Orcus. Then let's talk generics. Let's talk generic cards right now. And then let's throw in multiple of these. So let's throw in like multiple Armageddon Knights. Let's throw in a few Dark Greffers. Let's throw in Upstart's pretty good. We're obviously not following the ban list now because I believe Upstart was at 1, but like I said, chances of you getting multiple Upstarts are pretty slim. Let's throw in Pots, let's throw in 3 Desires, let's throw in 3 Dualities. I'm only going to include 1 Extrav because we're using the Universal Extra deck, which means that Extrav is essentially Pot of Greed. But Extrav is still pretty good, but we will include at least 1 of those. Let's go ahead and throw in Terraforming. Let's throw in 2 Terraformings, actually. And then let's throw in a couple of targets for Terraforming to make it good. Let's throw in a Necro Valley. Let's throw in a Zombie World. Let's throw in a... yeah, let's throw in a Mystic Mine. It's a toss format. Can't not include Mystic Mine. Let's throw in, like, Secret Village. Anything else that comes to my mind? Not really off the top of my head. We could include, just to give the thingy a bit of a buff, let's include Golden Castle of Strongbird, Hextrude. Is it called Hextrude? Yeah, Hextrude. What's the card that searches it? There's a card that searches Golden Castle as well. Is it Life? It is. See, I know my cards. Let's include this little mini engine here. Let's include 2 of this. Let's include 2 Golden Castle. Yeah, and then 1 Hextrude. So that's kind of cool. That also bumps the Manju deck up a little bit as well. Crusadia is pretty generic and used in a lot of decks. Let's throw in multiple Drago because it was used, and then like 1 of each of the other ones. A Power and a Revival, why not? What are we missing? We're at 146 right now, and we have a good variety of cards already in here, and I feel like we're barely touching the surface, and we're almost done. But at the same time, I'm also running out of generics. What else was used really strongly in TOS? Well, we've not got to any of the starters yet for these decks, so let's throw in some of the starters. So let's throw in a couple of copies of Cynet Mining. Let's throw in some Aloof Lupines. Let's throw in some Solars. I'm going to take a Lupine out and just include one of each. Anything I'm thinking, anything I'm missing off the top of my head? Back row removal. Let's go ahead and throw in 2 Twin Twisters. Let's throw in 2 Cosmics. Let's throw in 2 MSTs. Let's throw in a niche one like Unending Nightmares. That's a good variety of those. Let's throw in like Mind Control. Mind Control, pretty strong as well. Anything I'm missing now? What are we at? 160. So we've only got 40 cards left. Let's have a little Google real quick on my thing at the side, just to see if there's anything I'm missing off the top of my head. Let's look at side deck cards, because that's always good to include already. Oh, Solemns! Solemns are going to be used in almost every single deck, so I've got no problem throwing, like, let's say, Double Judgment, Triple Strike into something like this. Inspector Border. You can make, like, stun decks, yes. So let's throw in some Inspector Borders. Super Polymerizations, why not? You have access to the entire extra. This card would be very strong in a format like this. What about Crackdown? Crackdown was a pretty good card in this format as well. More generics. Let's throw in something like 1-for-1. That's probably going to be it for that. Let's go and have a think about Foolish. Let's include 2 Foolish Burial of Goods and a Foolish. Let's also include a Metal Foes Fusion, just because you can obviously send it as Foolish Burial of Goods and draw a card. That was used in a lot of Striker decks back in the day. Reinforcement of the Army. You see how very quickly you are almost finished, and I've not really had to think too hard about what actually should go in the cube. Let's throw in a set rotation. Any more off the top of my head? Enemy controllers. Enemy controller was. Ooh, let's not do that. Enemy controller was used a little bit in the format. Is there anything else off the top of my head? The dragon cards. White dragon, black dragon, Levianeer was used in both Thunder Dragons and multiple other decks. Destrudo. Then you've got, is it Starving Venom? The level 4 that was used with Dragon Ravine. Let's throw in Dragon's Ravine first. Dragon's Ravine? Is it? Is it like that? Is it just like that? Dragon Shrine. We'll throw in Shrine, and then we'll throw in Ravine as well. Yeah. What is it Supreme King or is it Starving Venom? Might be Supreme King actually, the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, it is. It's Darkworm. It's this card here. You can include Endymion. Endymions are pretty strong. Oh, more draw power. Allure of Darkness. Got to include at least 2 Allure of Darknesses. Red Reboot. Red Reboot's pretty strong. Card is probably going to be at 1. We're only 9 cards off, so we are almost there. We could include one more deck, but I kind of think we're at a point of staples now, right? Is there any staples I'm missing, though? Have I included Kaijus yet? I have not. Okay, that will probably finish it then. The Kaijus will probably finish it then, because we can include like double Slumber and then like 1 of every Kaiju. Jizz, Dogoran, Godala, and Kumungus. I could include the Lightning, but I kind of want to keep it at this. Then this gives me room to scroll and have a look if there's any more cards off the top of my head. Don't think there is. I think I'm happy with all of this. Like, yeah, we have almost all the decks. Like, we included Manju, right? Yeah. And Necroface. You know what we didn't include that helps multiple decks and can be the last card in the deck? Gold Sarcophagus. Done. So, there we go. That is now a cube format. Done. From here, it's very simple. We would sort the cards into alphabetical here. And we are fine now to just save this as, say, TOS format cube. I can now just dig through my bulk and by using a card ID. What card ID? Oh. We'll use Colossus. Thunder Dragon. Colossus. There you go. Save the cube. Cube created. There you go. So this here now is my cube I've just created live. I think this cube will be very strong. I think this cube is very balanced. I don't think there's anything in here that screams overpowered. I don't think there's any standout deck to go ahead and try and draft. You obviously have Orcus cards, which can be used in just about everything. You also have the Danger cards that can be used in just about everything. I think this cube would be very fun and would be very, very good to use. But yeah, that is essentially how I would approach making a cube in terms of ratios. If it's good in a specific deck, you probably want to include it in 1 or 2. If it's used in multiple decks, like Hand Traps, Armageddon Knights, Cosmics, Signet Minends, Kaijus, more Hand Traps, stuff like that, pots, you're going to include them at least 2 or 3. And then if it's kind of in the teat where it's kind of like okay, but not meta relevant, something like Danger Manju, you can definitely have a bigger Manju engine, because resolving one Orcus combo is going to be better than resolving a Manju the majority of the time. This was, of course, TOS format. You can approach this for any format. You go, like I said before, to Edison. You're going to put a few Light Swarm cards in, a few Gadgets, a few Machinas, a few Black Wings, and then you're going to probably go like 3 Diva. For your generics, because obviously Hand Traps aren't prevalent, you would go like 3 Mystic Tomato, 3 Giant Rat, 3 Gigantus, and then for your generic staples, like your Hand Traps and your Solemns, you'd go like Triple Torrential, Triple Compulse, Phoenix Wing Wind Blast, Smashing Grounds, Mystical Space Typhoons, and then for like your real power cards, like of course in here we have things like Super Poly and like I said, Extravs at 1, you would still have your Solemn Judgment, your Trap Dust Shoots, your Royal Oppressions at 1. If you were going to go Goat, you'd have like 1 Pot of Greed, 1 Heavy Storm, 1 Graceful, and then again you'd have multiple Giant Rats, maybe some Berserk Gorillas, maybe multiple Metamorphosis, because it's kind of used in every deck. Multiple Scapegoats, but you would obviously include the big cards at 1, like Pot of Greed and stuff like that, to encourage to draft them a little bit quicker. But that is it. That's a TOS format cube. This cube looks really fun. I think I own every card in this cube. right now. I might actually go ahead and whip this together at some point and actually just have a TOS format cube. How much would a cube cost to make in this stature? This, you're talking no more than like 50 to 100 pounds. Like, the only card in here now, looking at it, that's worth anything, obviously Colossus has just come back, so the Thunder Dragon stuff is quite high at the minute. I think the Hidden Cities are still like a tenner a piece, Super Polys are like a fiver a piece, but then like Gurus are common, Cave Clashes are common, Strikes are rares, Solemn Judgments are supers, Engage is a little bit expensive, Salamangreat stuff's been reprinted, these are all printed in common now, the Orcus stuff was all common, Met Knights are now common, Invocations are like a couple of quid. This was in Rarity Collection, this is all cheap, Gizmex are now rare in... I can't remember what set. Phantasmes are probably the most expensive card in here. Veilers were in Rarity Collection. Drolls had a rare print in Tama. They're like £2 or £3 each max. Ashes have like 1 million prints now. Same with Imperms. Allure has a few prints. Everything in here is probably under a fiver, maybe bar like Hidden City and Phantasme. I reckon every single other card in here is under £5, and the chances are, if you've been collecting for a while, you have the majority of these cards lying around. If you played during Eternal format or TOS format, all of these have been reprinted into the ground, so going to choose a format that's older will definitely make it cheaper for you. But that is it. That is how I approached Cube format. From here on out, you can go ahead and just enjoy the format. Grab a group of friends, play it on a night out, play it at a YCS, you will have so much fun. And that is the basic guide to making a cube format. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you have, leave a like, comment and subscribe. Later on in the week, I will try and upload my actual Edison cube I have in real life. I will show it you card by card choice, and you'll see that I've done a very similar approach to what I've done here with a TOS cube. But if you enjoyed the video, like I said, leave a like, comment, subscribe. It's been your boy Screech, guys. Peace!